Ladies and gents, football has done it again because somehow a match that looked destined to end in frustration, missed chances, and a lot of what ifs turned into one of the most dramatic finishes of the World Cup so far. The Ivory Coast won, Ecuador nil. And if you're an Ecuador fan, you might be still staring at that crossbar wondering how this happened. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Georgie's 5 Cents. If you haven't done it already, be sure to like, subscribe, share the video, and leave your comments. Leave your 5 cents, and I'll try to get back to them as soon as possible. Well, like I said, the Ivory Coast had done it. Coming into this match, Ecuador were quietly one of the most respected teams outside traditional football norms. That's given. 19 matches unbeaten for this team. Let me remind you, 19 matches unbeaten. They had a disciplined squad, a midfield led by Moses Caicedo, the lad who's with Chelsea, running the Chelsea midfield, and a team that many believe could comfortably advance from Group E. Now, while the Ivory Coast arrived carrying a different energy, why they are African champions. No, they were African champions, but had a good run at AFCON. The Elephants always had that aura about them that they will bring something different when it comes to World Cup matches. And a team that spent the last few years reminding how fast African football is evolving. It's that good. African football is that good. You would be an idiot not to actually give any of those teams a run through. And if you thought that the African triumph or AFCON triumph qualifications or whatever was a one off, this match suggested otherwise. Ecuador's missed opportunities, my God. There, like in my video, I said there definitely had to be some juju, or at least that's what the Ecuador fans would want to believe, because the first half belonged to Ecuador, plain and simple. Not on the scoreboard, but everywhere else. They were sharper, more aggressive, more dangerous. The warning signs came early, though, that, when John, I forgot his surname, Yeboah, he rattled the crossbar. Moments later, this guy Minda hit it again. Now this was twice, two huge opportunities. They could have gone at 2-0 up at this point. And this also reminded me while I was watching that match, I was making notes that these reminders are there in football that if you've missed your chance, that's a reward that doesn't come back around. And at that stage, the Ivory Coast looked completely and utterly uncomfortable with where everything was going on, because Ecuador were controlling possession. They were winning second balls, they were creating better chances. And if that game actually ended at that 30 minutes of the first half, nobody would have argued that this team, the Ecuadorians, definitely deserved that 2-0 lead. But the crossbar had other things in mind. But anyway, matches last for 90 odd minutes. And that's where everything changed. These elephants woke up. You don't want to do that in a group of elephants, right? And these elephants woke up slowly. Ivory Coast started finding their rhythm, not a dominance or not a dominating the aspect of their football game, but just belief that some of these teams have been having in this World Cup so far. The kind that says that we don't need that many chances, we just need one, and that one chance will find the back of that net. Jan Diomande became increasingly influential in this match. The midfield actually settled. The defensive structure overall, I would say, wasn't that good, but improved slightly. And gradually, Ecuador stopped looking dangerous. I think fatigue got to him. Fatigue got to them. And yeah, it wasn't flashy. It wasn't chaotic. It wasn't calculated, or you can call it calculated, but it wasn't that as well. It looked like an heavyweight boxer. He was trying to survive these early rounds and then gradually started walking forward. And that's when that lad from Manchester United, Ahmad Diallo, stepped up, and the moment came, that one chance, and he took it. The 90th minute, and I think it's every football's fan their dream to actually sit down there and witness these stoppage time winners, isn't it? This one attack, one opening, one finish. Ahmed Diallo, done and dusted. The Ecuadorians were, I think, on the hangman's noose at that time, and it was cool, composed, clinical by this young lad, and that's why I think Manchester United rates this guy so highly. Anyway, the ball hits the net. The entire mood of the match changed completely. Ecuador was disbelief beyond measure. I think they're going to go back and pray and ask God what happened. And for the Ivory Coast, these elephants, pure euphoria. This match, it looked destined for a draw, but it definitely belonged to the Africans. And just like that, Ecuador's unbeaten streak was history. 19 games down the toilet bowl. The bigger story, this result isn't just a goal, it's what it actually represents. For years, African football has been treated like a talented outsider. That's why you see many of these players in other national teams, France being one of them. But anyway, they are dangerous, they are exciting, but rarely mentioned that sometimes they could actually be taken for serious contenders. I know it's the start of the group stage matches, but look at Morocco. Look at what they've done in the previous World Cup. They've reached the semi final. The Ivory Coast produced one of AFCON's greatest stories ever. And now these elephants are looking to replicate that at World Cup football. And it's not perfect. It's not going to be easy for them, but they look like a team that's going to absorb pressure. They are going to survive difficult moments and then deliver when it actually matters. And that's what elite tournaments do. And I think the Elephants are good for this. They are good. And because football is football, Ecuador fans, dressed in some famous Rocky statue in Philadelphia. I'm not sure why, but locals started calling it the Rocky curse or it's a superstition or whatever. But I don't think that's the case. I think the Ivory Coast happened, and it was a moment that was threatening to happen for quite some time during the game, and it finally did. So, cruelty is, if you don't take your chances, eventually someone else will. But this will definitely be remembered as one of the greatest last minute stoppage time winners in football history. What do you think? Do the Elephants have it in them to go past this group stage? Let me know in the comments. Leave your 5 cents. Show some love to dear old Joji Boy's 5 cents YouTube channel. Much love for following so far. Thank you so much. Look forward to seeing you in the next video. Cheers, guys. Leave your comments down below.